Have you thought about business estate planning?
I had made no such plans. There's got to be a template somewhere that I could use. So I put together a proper document. I want to keep it simple, zero learning curve, because I don't want everything living in my head. Make this non-negotiable. Treat yourself like the client. I feel that weight off my shoulder and that peace of mind, there is nothing like it.
Hello, and welcome to Clutter Care Organizing, where we focus on saving you mental load by streamlining your digital life, especially using Google solutions. As business owners, I know that we fill a lot of roles in our businesses. Today, I will be talking with fellow digital organizer Bhavna, owner of Workflow Clarity. She will give us important information about the importance of business estate planning, which I have not even thought about yet. So I'm glad she's here. Please comment below with either a thumbs up if you have thought about business estate planning or a thumbs down if you have not thought about it at all yet. I'm sure you will be interested in what she has to say. Welcome, Bhavna. We're really glad you're here today. Give me a little info of how we met.
Yes. So about 2 years ago, when I was contemplating opening this business, I wasn't sure which platform I want to start in, how I want my basics and foundations organized. And I've always worked in Google, but Google Workspace was slightly newer to me. And I had been following your content while I was contemplating this business. And I thought the way you presented information was very easy to understand. And so since then, I've attended a few of your workshops and your classes, and now my business foundation is Google Workspace, and I love it. And I've been using it, and I will be using it for a long time. So thank you.
Absolutely wonderful. So tell me how you got into professional organizing and specifically digital organizing.
It was by chance. I was super disorganized in my 20s. Just didn't see the value of having any important documents in place, always stressing to find things. If I even had it, then that's another stress trying to locate where to go actually get the information. And so it didn't really prove to be helpful in my lifestyle. And so I put some parameters in place to improve my life workflow. And so I started organizing my documents, organizing important information because we travel a lot and just life stuff. And that proved to be really helpful for me. It was less stressful. I felt more confident facing different situations. And in the process, I've helped family and friends gather that, and maybe they don't maintain it, but at least gather it and bring it all together. And I really enjoy it. I enjoy order. I enjoy having planned for something, prepared for something important. And it just helps me come to a situation more prepared and confident. And I enjoy feeling that. So why not?
I love that. That's excellent. Great story. And that you can help others do it now as well is wonderful. How did you come to focus on business estate planning, our topic of the day? I've known you for 2 years and that topic has never occurred to me. So I want to know where you figured that out and why you're focusing on it today.
Yeah. So annually, we meet with our attorneys for our personal estate planning. And in those conversations, we talk about where some of our important physical documents are located, or our shared access online, password manager, and all of that. Also, instructions to our executor. So while we were talking about all of that, they asked me about how my business was going. And then it was clear to me that I had made no such plans for my own business. So I had zero instructions for my executor. So if something were to happen to me, my executor wouldn't know where to start. They are not tech savvy. They don't want to be tech savvy. I then worked with my business attorney because putting down all of this documentation on a piece of paper or digital is great. But you need to really work with a local attorney because there might be specific state mandated legal requirements that needs to be included in your document. And that's one of the things I'll talk about as we go through. But in the process of working with her, I thought, I'm sure other business owners have already done this. There's got to be a template somewhere that I could just use, because this is not the most exciting topic, because it takes the business owner away from what they really want to do, to grow their business, to create and to make and connect with people. And so she said, no, normally business owners that she's met with or who she's set up their business, they don't focus on this, or they don't make this a priority. And so I put together what I thought captures my business landscape. And then I brought it to her and worked with her to make sure, with her legal advice and her legal expertise, I wanted this to be a proper document, not just something I came up with. And then we also trained my executor in the process, because I don't want everything living in my head, because how does someone read my mind? I'd love it if someone could read my mind.
That would be helpful.
It's less documentation I'll have to do. And then I talked to a few other business owners who've been around for a while. I'm like, what did you do? What have you done already? Is there something you can guide me with? And I came up with a lot of, no, we haven't prioritized that. Yes, that's something we need to do, but we don't know where to start. Or what is it even? It's
Agreed.
all written down somewhere. It's in a file and folder somewhere. That's when I thought, okay, maybe I may not be asking the questions correctly, so why don't I just stop and put my documentation down and work with a legal attorney to make sure what I have makes it usable for someone who's just stepping in, who's not seen my business, the background, ever or in a long time. And so it was just a natural flow towards creating what I've created.
I love it. That's so exciting. I want to hear more about that a little later. It's good that you took that step and that you took the initiative to figure this out, because clearly many business owners are going to need this. So, one of the first topics you wanted to talk about was legal planning and operational reality. And I don't even know what those words mean in this context. So, can you help us out a little bit?
Okay. So legal planning, I meant the business estate planning side. That's the part where you work with a legal attorney and they determine your business structure, your legal and tax structure, the long-term plan. And they're the ones who plan out how to transfer your business ownership should something happen to you, or you want to sell your business, or you win the lottery and you don't want to work in your business anymore, right? The other part is the operational side, is the business continuity. That is more about if there's a disaster or there's incapacity, what are some of the things that need to happen and need to continue running to minimize the impact of the break in business or the break in client communication. So both are very important. Both serve very different purposes. But to work in the complete scheme of things, that involves quite a bit of thought from the business, from the key personnel, and different professionals. So I'm not diving into the details that is beyond my scope. What I'm focused on is just like the basics. Who is the contact person for your CPA, your lawyer, your IT professional? What password management tool are you using and who's authorized? Like the immediate things that an attorney and the executor can step in and say, okay, this is the landscape of this business. Got it. Now we know here are the immediate things that need to happen. Here are the things that can wait. Both are two different things. Both are important and highly advisable for a business to look into companies that provide both those services.
I love that. So, what really happens if a business owner suddenly can't run their business? And then you had also mentioned if they want to sell it.
So let's say they can't run their business, there's incapacity or something. So from the executor's point of view, or the legal person who's stepping in with them, what that looks like is They are going to be sifting through emails and folders and files, trying to find basic information. They are going to maybe first be the first time interacting with that client tool because they've never had to do that before, to send messaging to clients who are waiting for statuses. They might not know the status of where projects are. And so basically, it feels like they're just going to be gathering and gathering and gathering, maybe looking in the right places, hopefully. And they really don't know when they're done because they don't even know how many accounts they have. Like in some of your videos that you said, people accumulate a lot of emails for whatever reason. What it looks like from the sales side is, say that same business owner wants to sell their business. From the buyer's point of view, they're going to see, oh, wow, okay, information's all over the place. We need this one specific document. But if that seller cannot produce that document quickly, you can imagine now where the negotiating power shifts to, more to the buyer, because they're like, okay, now you can't give me that document, so they'll have to come up with other plans in place. But say the owner had that document and could provide it easily, the negotiating power shifts now back to the seller. So that's the key to much of this, having things organized, having things legally reviewed and in place and shared with the executors.
So one of my questions then leads to Google Workspace and Google Drives and where you save files and how you label emails and all of those good things. So is there a structure that you either recommend or are using for yourself? How would you set it up to make this easy?
So I'm looking at it from the perspective of a person who's stepping in brand new. So I want to keep it simple. I don't want to now have another app in between them and the information they need, or another software they'd have to learn. So zero learning curve. For my business, I have set it up as one folder called X Executor. So it's always there. It's at the very bottom, but what would an executor first look for, or a lawyer would look for? Executor. And also keep in mind, my lawyers already know that, right? So I've also given them a paper copy of, okay, this is what the landscape looks like. And then within that, I've broken it down into a document that kind of points to my CRM, which is now in Google Contacts. And within Google Contacts, I've labeled the active versus the leads versus past. From the executor's point of view, they don't have to look through a whole database of contacts. They just have to go to that one label and contact the contacts from there. The other thing I have in place is a pre-messaging that says what has happened and that the executor is working with the attorney. So please give us some grace, give us some time. The attorney and the executor will be in touch. So a lot of this messaging doesn't have to be thought up. It's there. Maybe edit it as needed, but you're not looking at a blank page saying something has happened. Also, I have a roadmap, just one-page roadmap that points my executor to the key information they need to make the next step happen. So, for example, like I said about the clients, there's one link, it goes directly and it lists out all the clients. Similarly, there's one link that lists out all my tech stack. And within the tech stack, it explains when the subscription is due, when the renewal is, what it's for. So I think someone who has never stepped into my business can, with these few documents, can get the sense of it. Of course, now I had said my executor is not tech savvy, so I don't expect them to learn this, but they can give a financial professional or an IT professional who has done this kind of work, they can give them this information and that person can figure things out quickly. So I'm not laying out, here's everything, and these are all the SOPs, and this is the step-by-step thing, and this is the automation thing, because no one really cares about those kind of details. They need action, and they need to communicate, and they need to keep that business continuity moving forward.
That sounds so great. The basic information to
Yeah.
keep it moving forward. You said that smaller businesses might be more at risk than larger ones. Why do you think so? What are the factors?
I'll take myself as a prime example. You know, when I first got started, I was busy doing all the things, setting it up, networking, talking to people, clients started coming on. Even though my Google Workspace was organized, thanks to you, by the way, thank you again. You know, it takes maintenance. You have to kind of revisit it and make sure everything is still keeping up with what you had put in place. Maybe you need to tweak it a little. So, what I found in my scenario is things were starting to live in my head. I remembered where I put something. I remembered, oh, yeah, I know where that folder lives, but nobody else does. You know, solo entrepreneurs, agency founders, all of those kind of people who are just starting up and are busy growing, have income coming in, wonderful things are happening. They're using a lot of tools and applications across to run their business. Suddenly, you know, with all of that growth and excitement, things may start living in your head because you just know where things are. Like you forget that, okay, somebody else doesn't. So I would recommend that those scenarios. But even if you're a brand new business owner, you may not have all the things set up, and that's okay. But what a perfect time to even document what you have and maintain it. That's the most important thing, you know. You can set up a system, but you have to make sure you're disciplined enough to maintain it or tweak it. But it involves interaction with the system you've set in place.
Yeah, these are important things. You and I both get clients that have not maintained, so everything is just everywhere. So, what can be done to support executors, but to reduce stress, delays, and unnecessary loss?
Yeah, so I'll break it down into 3 steps, really simple. First, get as much out of your head onto paper. Document just the key things. You don't have to document every single SOP that you use. Document your key accounts, key personnel. Hopefully, you're already using a good password management tool and have a strategy to have authorized users log in and access this key information. So start there. Even just doing that today is reducing so much confusion that you can't even, you know, fathom. Step number 2, take that document and work with your local attorney. It is key and it is really important that you do that because there may be some stipulations and legal parameters in the state that you operate where just because the executor has this document doesn't mean they can act on it. So you always have to work with your local attorney. And also, on that same note, once you've worked with that attorney, make it a point to train your executor, as in, show them the landscape, show them, okay, this is what my CRM looks like. This is where I go to payroll. They don't need to learn it and they don't need to know how to use it, but at least they have a visual reference of what is. Because some of these words, which may be very common for us on a day-to-day, may be new for them. So just think if you have to step in their industry that has certain jargon and certain words and abbreviations that's very common, but you don't know what it is, how that causes a lot of anxiety. So that's step number 2. Step number 3, this is where you come in, Amy.
Oh,
I recommend, and I do this for myself, I have set up a non-negotiable 3-month meeting with myself called business estate planning. And I go back and review in the past 3 months, what new tools have I come up with? Hopefully not many, because I told you I'm not going to be gathering tools now. What processes may have changed? Maybe am I working with a new bookkeeper? That's something I should add. And make this so non-negotiable that you're doing yourself a favor. Treat yourself like the client. Don't change it. Don't, you know, have a meeting on top of it. And you'll be surprised. You might think it's so overwhelming to have these meetings every 3 months or every 6 months. But once you have it down, the upkeep is so minimal. It's a quicker task than you would even expect. And really, what major changes in 3 to 6 months? Not that much, hopefully, but even if it does, you already have kept up with your document and just need to notify your attorney and keep them in the loop.
Yeah, that's the maintenance part for
Yeah.
ourselves as small business owners to do that. It's like the quarterly planning going forward, but I feel like this is like quarterly planning going backwards a little bit. What has changed in the last 3 to 6 months?
Yeah.
That's great. So, where should business owners start with this? You said these last 3 steps. Is that it?
Yeah, that's
That
the
the-
first easy things they can start with right away. You don't need an application if you're working in Google Docs,
Yeah.
Google Sheets. I'm trying to make this as simple as possible because I don't want this to be one more thing you have to learn to do or buy to do. It's all in your head, and you may have it already documented. It just may need to be spruced up a bit.
So, you're talking about this document that you created. Can you tell us a little bit about it? Is it available for other people to get? Tell me a little bit.
Yeah. So when I told you I worked with my attorney to set this up for myself, in the process, I created 2 options. Option one is a very easy guided workbook that helps the business owner capture all of this information. They still have to go and figure out where their document lives, but the guided workbook kind of captures what are the basics you need. The other option is a little more comprehensive. It's like an add-on to the workbook. It includes a roadmap, it includes guidance for the executor. Also, it gives the overall business landscape of where things are. So that's a lot more detailed. Both of it has been reviewed by a couple of lawyers, a business mentor, because these are people who've been doing this a lot more than I have, and they've seen so many different flavors of business owners and business setups. So I really wanted this to be looked at by years and years of expertise and knowledge, and not just my business as my business, but have all of their insight and feedback included so that should another business owner be in the same spot as me, they can choose one of these options and get going. If you don't know where to start, one of these options would help.
So, how can our audience get a hold of the guided workbook or the add on materials?
You could simply visit workflowclarity.com. Right there on the executive services page, both these options are listed. You can read through, it kind of explains in more detail how this helps, and you can get it from there. Or if you have any questions, you can also contact me and we can talk through it. One of the options is I could work with you and we can formulate a plan on how to get all of this together. That's more for businesses who've been around for maybe 6, 7 years, or even the ones that have started and don't want to focus and prioritize their time on this task. I would be able to help them with that. The other thing is, once we have this peace of mind package complete for you, we would then work with your attorney. So I'm willing to connect with your attorney with the business owner on the call so that we're all on the same page of what's happening here. Another option is maybe we can set up time to train your executor. So it won't be like a technical training, as in, this is what it does, this is where you have to go to do stuff. It's more like introducing them to your landscape and saying, okay, if something were to happen, this is what you would look for. And if you're not sure, this is who you would contact. So maybe like a guided conversation. And then other times, a business owner needs that maintenance check-in every few months, which you're familiar with. And it really helps people stay accountable on what they've set up and if it still works, if something needs tweaking. So those are some of the ways that I support business owners. This is a very important topic, and it'd be good if people prioritized it. It's just, one of those things. Yeah, you have to make yourself as important as your clients. There's a saying,
Shoemakers' kids have no shoes because
yeah.
they're helping everybody else.
And mind you, this is like the most boringest thing I've done, but I feel that weight off my shoulder and that peace of mind, there is nothing like it.
Well,
Yeah.
thank you so much. You've gone through it for yourself and now you can help others with it. So I'm excited for you and your business Workflow Clarity. Thank you for your time and expertise today.
Thank you, Amy. This is wonderful.
If you're wondering whether your current file system is safe or an absolute spaghetti mess, take my free, simple self-audit quiz linked below. Stop fighting with your files and start feeling empowered. Hit subscribe for more information like this, and I'll see you in the next video. I look forward to helping you succeed.